Hello, this is Linda K. Black. This is number 10 on the secrets to a happy marriage. And lately, my friend Diana, and she became an art author, and she married late in life. And I asked her, what did she think was the secret to a happy marriage? And she said, you can't change them. Whoever you're going to marry, how they are, that's how they are. You cannot change them. You cannot change them. Don't marry somebody thinking, I can change them. Okay? Okay, and somebody else asked a young lady, and she said, loyalty. Loyalty. That is very important. Somebody's going to be loyal to you. That's why I tell young people, if you're looking for a marriage, find somebody who is a Christian that believe like you believe in God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. And let a lot of your decisions, what would God do? You know, what is God's best? Anyway, so I'm going to a church where it's quite a bit. They kind of say, husband's the head of the house, but a husband is the head of the house, but you're supposed to listen to your wife too. A wife is a helpmate. The guy's not a ruler over her, but a helpmate to love each other. And this is the 10th one. I wanted to talk about today that I've been divorced for 50 years. So a lot of people told me other problems. But anyway, I think through the years I met some men that were really, really nice. And one of them, he was actually a Canadian. But, I'm an American. But he was really nice. And so I introduced him to a friend. And he had qualities that were good. He enjoyed working. He had a business, and he was good to his staff. And I think he had 2 daughters. But I introduced him. I did introduce him. But anyway, I was at church, and I went to the wedding, and the music director was sitting next to me, talking to me, and the bride came up to me and said, "What are you doing at my wedding?" But I said, he invited me. The husband invited me. She said, "Okay then." She said, "Okay." Okay. But you know what? He was a good catch. And sometimes if I introduce somebody, if they're a good catch, it's okay. So that was one. And so another one, I had a boyfriend he was a boyfriend for 5 years. But he was a Christian, a good Christian. But every Friday night we go out to eat. And one night, on Friday night, he had to come really late. So we went out to eat. My daughter went with us. And he said, "You already ate." I said, "I know, but I ate again." But anyway, we taught Sunday school together at a church. And I did all the work, but he got the credit. But anyway, when I was working at the blind deaf school, Verla was a teacher aide in that classroom. And I told her, well, I went with Gene for 5 years. He was a cameraman. And she said, "That's a sin." She said, "You can't go with a man 5 years, not get married." But anyway, I introduced Verla to that guy. But they didn't get married, but they dated for quite a while. And in the end, he went back to another state, and a lady he knew all his life, and she never married. They got married. And then there was another person that I thought would really be, in fact, with Gene, I said, "You know what? You're the kind of man, if you could just wake up and be married, you'd do okay. You'd be a good husband, But just getting there would have been hard." I mean, he got married, I guess late 50s. But he had a wonderful wife and a wonderful marriage. Okay? So that's wonderful. And then I was going to say something about the next one. One was my actually a cousin, but I'm adopted, But his name was Jack Wallace. But I had been praying ever since I was 11 years old for Jack to marry Alice. But you know what? I kept praying, and he had 4 variety stores in Bakersfield and Arvin. But he acted like they loved each other. But when I was a manager in Lamont for 6 months, and my job ended, but my job was uh, promised to someone else. But the night that I would have a board meeting, and these other uh, preschool directors or things were supposed to be at my center, uh, God was so good to me. Jack and Alice got married that night. Even though my heart was broken because I lost my job as a manager, but that very night that they were supposed to have a board meeting, Jack and Alice got married. They got married. They got married in a church in Bakersfield, and they had a wonderful marriage. But anyway, but later on, she died. But later on, I introduced him to like different women in my church, and the women said, "Don't introduce us. Let him pick." Well, he can't pick there. He wasn't going to church there. But anyway, so one time a lady was supposed to meet with Jack, and she didn't show up. So Jack said, "You just be my date. You be my date." So we had dinner together. But he was a wonderful man. He really was wonderful. He had qualities that were good. So anyway, so I introduced him to one of my friends. In fact, 2 different ladies that I thought would be good for him. But anyway, he didn't marry again, but he had those choices. He could have picked those 2. In fact, one lady was said, "Well, you have 2 dogs. My grandkids don't like dogs, so your dogs have to go." Well, on the first date, they meet each other, your dog has to go. Anyway, it's interesting. But I introduced him to somebody, and he was a good catch. Okay, and then another one, if I can remember right now. Oh, yeah. He went to Jim Foreman's church. His name actually was Blackie Harris. And he was a good man, a really good man. And he actually played polo with Will Rogers' son. But, he had interests in life. And he had a barbecue pit they had built so he could cook hamburgers and help people. He never gave anybody his recipe. I should have asked for it. But, we ended up buying a house from him. And he was a rich man, but he was just a normal house was okay for him. And I used to think, this was good enough for him. He's a humble person, very humble. But anyway, I introduced him to my aunt, and they got married, and they had a wonderful life. And then he sold his business for $1 million. But then the people who got the thing sued him. They didn't make $1 million like he did. But I learned that he did oil bits, that kind of stuff. But, all the people would bring metal, and he'd take it. He would take it, and he'd give them money for the metal, and give them money for the metal. But the new owners, they would say, "Where'd you get that metal? Where'd you get that metal? Where'd you get that metal?" But so that's why it didn't work. But anyway, his wife said, "Well, we can be better or bitter. Better or bitter." So they decided to be better. And even though he's older, Blackie, he was at Costco. You know how they give the free food out? He still worked. That's part of his character. He was old. I know when they got married, they went to another country and everything. But anyway, he was a good catch. And there's one guy who's really, really nice that my cousin introduced me to. But he would have been good, and I didn't feel like I was good enough for him. But that's okay. When somebody said where he lives, that's so much better than you. But later on, for a while, I actually worked in the same in Santa Paula. He didn't have such a great big house. I don't know. Don't have to listen to people all the time. But he got a wonderful marriage, and he really loved his wife. So it's like only you can decide. Only you can decide. I know I have some guys in Bakersfield want me to find them wives. I can't do that. I can't do that. But you have to find your own. And once you marry God, we're going to make it work. You have to be loyal to each other. The marriage vows. Listen to the marriage vows. And maybe you get somebody, oh, there's another beautiful lady. You don't just walk off with somebody else. You're married. You love each other. And a lot of people, when I ask them, what's the secret to happy marriage? Some of them say, forgiveness. You have to forgive. Roy Rogers, Dale Evans, and every night they never went to bed mad. They forgave each other. Forgive each other. Okay, and work together as a team. You have to be a team. Don't be fighting each other. I once saw a couple at this one church, they're sitting real close together, like they were joined at the hip, but they're being mean to each other. That wasn't right. Why be mean? Why be mean to each other? You get married, you're one person. That's what the Bible says. You get married, and you're one person. I mean, Bible does divorce happens. It's in divorce, but you know what? Just trust God that you make the right choice, and pray about it. Okay? Just pray about it, and you have the Lord lead you, and get somebody that loves God and Jesus. That's important, okay? And I hope you do good. Read my other ones. I have a list of different things. But, being loyal is important. Trusting somebody. Really loving each other. Forgiveness and appreciation. Appreciate who you're married to. And put your arm around the one you love. Be there for that person. And put the one you love ahead of your friends. Don't always put your friends first. Just like that guy that First Assembly, he went with his wife where she wanted to go, and she went with where he wanted to go. They went together. You have to have time together. You do have to. And the only way we can save America is for these people. Not everybody wants to get married. That's okay. In fact, Paul in the Bible said it's better not to marry, but you don't want to live in sin, so you get married. But you'll have problems, but you work them out, and you love each other. You work it out just like your grandparents did and your parents did a long time ago, okay? I'm 76, and I had a stroke 3 years ago, so my language is kind of off. But just trust God and pray about it, okay? And let the Lord lead you to who you're going to marry. Okay, I'm going to say bye. Love you. I'm praying for you. Okay, bye.